Okay, we're recording.
Right, okay, here we go. Should we just build?
This is Wrong Record Chat number 50, the big 5-0. Can you believe it?
No, I can't.
No. We got Paul Allen. How you doing?
Hello. How's it going? Let me just. Here we go. Hello. Hello, Joe.
Good. Where are you?
I am in sunny Bempster, Bristol. In a rented slum, and basically it's sunny outside, but I've got all the curtains closed.
Yeah.
Well, that curtain's open, that one's closed because I just don't want to get in on the record, see, really. But yeah, so I've been here for a very long time, so I've accumulated a lot of crap, and I'm probably the only surviving Bristolian in this in Bempster now. I don't know. I think everyone's left because it's very expensive now.
Yeah. You're from Bristol then?
That's right. I mean, my parents just lived down the road, so I could go 5-10 minutes down the road and they'd be there. I mean, the furthest I've ever moved is about 5 miles away. Right. But I kind of like Bempster. I mean, it used to be a lot more rough, and then for a bit it kind of sort of leveled out a bit. It was slightly rough, but still relatively cheap. And now it's just gone. Everyone's kind of like from Surrey and the hand counties, and all the houses have gone up to about $500,000 each. It's just gone crazy. But because I've been here so long, I'm still paying a very low rent, so I'm quite lucky, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But you know, I mean, what's it like down where you live now? Is it sort of?
We're getting affected by Bruton. People moving to Bruton seems to have a
Bruton.
Yeah, like posh people are moving to Bruton from London and whatnot. So like all the towns and villages, and Frome as well. So all the towns and villages around those are getting affected. I've moved down there. I can't pretend to have been from here. So you know.
Where are you from? You're from sort of near London, where are you?
Exactly.
North of London, is it, or something?
Yeah, give or take. But I've been in Somerset now for 13 or 14 years.
Right, so it's been a while, because your band's pretty split up, aren't they? Sort of across the the country, aren't they? Because Will's up in, where's Will? Is he near Hull or something like that? I can't remember. Where's he to?
He's moved to Sheffield. But there's a thing. I've almost started saying, "Where's that to?" That's how long I've been here.
Where's that to? Yeah, that's it. Yeah. You know, it's good to have a bit of an accent. I mean, when I went to America, they thought I was Australian, and in Liverpool, they couldn't understand a word I was saying. And my accent's not that strong, but you know, my dad's is very, very strong.
I guess when you talk to him, you really, both of you just ramp it up to impenetrable West Country.
No, he's a bit deaf, and we just can't understand each other, so it's very confusing.
So here's the thing. So we've probably only met about 3 or 4 times in real life, and it's always been at gigs we've played together.
Well, you know, it's like gigs. I can't relax at gigs. You just got, you know, you got to get on and do something, and it's not relaxing beforehand. Then after, you just relieved that it's over.
Yeah, you just want to go.
I know it sounds awful. That no, afterwards I'm supposed to be. Oh yeah, that's God. Yeah, no, I shouldn't be too negative, but you know, it's you know what gigs are like.
I do. So one of the bands that you play in that we've played with is
Anthroprophh.
There you go. On Rocket now. There's the front cover.
That's the one. I think it's something to do with the circle of life and my face.
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
Circle of life. It's pretty.
Yeah, it's really deep. Yeah.
And we played together. I don't know. Do you keep posters?
Right.
I keep posters of gigs. Here we go. We play.
I do. Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
I have that one. I've got a few. I know that Simon the Heads, he kept loads, and I just always forgot. I was just too busy going to the toilet and getting nervous to go, all right, I'll take that poster from the wall. And I kind of regret that. I mean, I've got a few. I mean, that one's hiding behind the loads of crap there. That was the Paradiso gig we did in Amsterdam. That was a really good show, actually. I really enjoyed that show. And I don't usually say that. That was like at one point where we were playing and it all started building up and building up. And like, we were all on the same page. It was really enjoyable.
Was that the Heads?
That's a rare thing. Yeah, the Heads, yeah.
Yeah, so I just thought I'd drag one record out. It's this one, because no one will ever show this. This is a split 10-inch you did.
Oh yeah, the 10. Yeah. That was like we did a Hawkwind cover that went on way too long. Yeah, really dragged it out.
You did, but like
I always drag it out anyway.
but it's a 10-inch, but it's pressed at 45, so you didn't drag it out too much.
Right. Yeah, I think it was about 13 minutes long. I thought Lily Dan White did a better job of the Pink Fairies track.
Yeah.
But they were a lot more tighter than us and they had to play properly.
Right. Well,
yeah, they were a lot more sort of like together than we were.
Yeah.
Look at that. What stick is that on the front? Is that like our price something? Is that
Rough Trade?
Rough Trade. Oh, right. I see. Yeah, Rough Trade. Our price was like a massive, huge sun-like sticker, wasn't it? It's huge.
Yeah.
Round thing. Yeah.
Rough Trade, £7.99. I would have bought 15 or 16 years ago.
You could sell it on Discogs for £8.49.
£8.49, easy. Here's the thing about Discogs and the heads. Why are the heads? You're a Discogs person, I assume. Why are the heads number 2? Yet the heads that were formed after you in the mid-90s, the main heads on Discogs.
Well, it's because they were part of the Talking Heads, weren't they? I suppose. Because I remember John Peel, he used to do the campaign for the Real Heads, which was basically, just us as opposed to them. So, he used to do that. He's go, here's the Real Heads, and I think there was an American band called the Heads as well, and they were only around for about like a year in 1969. And I think Tina Weymouth did an interview and she said, there was a band called the Heads, but they're defunct now. We thought, we're not defunct. It's not us. But I think she was talking about this American band. Yeah. Because, she didn't know we existed, which is fair enough.
But Discogs should at least have used the main heads rather than 2 in brackets, right?
Well, I don't know. Someone enters it in, don't they? I mean, you can enter loads of crap onto Discogs, can't you? Yeah, maybe we can edit. I've just got to let the dog out as usual. So, John, how about if I need to go to the lavatory?
You can do that, but we don't pause.
Okay.
I just bad.
Oh, right. You just let me go to the toilet.
And I just bad mouth you. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's great. Actually, that'll make it a good viewing.
Do you have this book?
Yeah, the Pill Sessions book. I'm actually in that book. So for my megalomania, that kind of
Yeah. 3 sessions.
3 sessions.
I'm going to assume this is English, so it's the 10th of November, 95.
Yeah, I was in the big room with the Bing Crosby tribute.
Yeah. So that,
MV3.
That was the room name, was it? MV3.
I think so. Yeah, I can't remember. I just remember at the time we decided Wayne and Hugo the night before decided that we needed a manager, so they brought this bloke along, and I kind of knew him from before. His name was Twig, and he had a bit of a reputation for being a bit of a knob, and he I think he was at a party. There was a party going on once, and he was living in one of the rooms upstairs, and he came down sort of naked to get a glass of water because Jim Morrison had done it. So that's the kind of level we're working at. So like I think it was maybe a couple of days before we went to the Pill session. I went, all right, and this is our new manager, and I thought, it's Jim Twig. Yeah, that's him there. He's naked. He's naked from there down, and he's got a tap of water. He's getting a tap of water, But yeah, it's like, what's going on? Why have you got Twig? I used to know this guy, and I kind of let's just go along with it. And when we got our check for 500 quid, and we were on the dole at that point, most of us, it was like, that was 125 quid each. And he'd signed the check over to him. So I had to ring up the BBC. I was going, quick, give us his 500 quid back. Come on, So we managed to get the money back, but it was a real panic because he was going to take the 500 quid.
Twig.
So yeah, and it didn't last after that. I think I saw him once about 15 years later when I went to Bucharest on a plane, and I thought, wait there a minute, it was that bald guy over there. That's Twig. Right, so I blanked him off. And he blanked me off, so it was a mutual kind of a thing. But yeah,
it's kind of weird to blank someone when you're on the other side of Europe.
Yeah, we were getting on the plane. We were just about to get on the plane. No, it wasn't like I was walking down the street. I thought, oh right, there's Twig. No, I didn't. I didn't do that. But it was just he was getting on the same plane. Obviously, he was still in Bristol. So, but yeah, that's a bittersweet thing. But no, it's great doing those sessions. It's just amazing. You just think, bloody hell, they want us to do this. Christ, sure you want us to do? It's just, it's mad. It's absolutely mad.
Yeah, so you did 3. One in 95.
Yeah,
and then one only how many months? 15 months later, early 97.
Yeah, yeah, it was incredible. I don't know what happened. I mean, maybe Simon Keeler was pulling some favors. I don't know.
Yeah, and
Sending him loads of records or something. But you know, we did free. Yeah, like I said, we did free.
yeah,
And we did I think it was like it's a 30-year anniversary thing at the, I think it was the ICA. And Simon Keeler, he'd been invited, and he managed to get, he said, oh, 3 of you can come along. So me, Pricey, Simon Price, and Hugo went along, and we met him. And I just remember him having a really strong handshake. It nearly crushed my hand. And like there was loads of celebs in there. I was like Robert Wyatt was there, and Claire Grogan was there, which Hugo, you know, was a bit rude to later, but I won't go into that. And I remember later on, there's like free champagne going on, and Hugo went down and had a massive chat with John. And I went, and the next day, because he got fairly drunk, I said, "What did you talk to John about?" And he said, "I can't remember any of it. He just couldn't remember any of it." But he was there for ages, just chatting to him.
There's a lesson there.
Yeah, don't drink too much.
Yeah,
yeah, but yeah, that was great. Then again, there again, it was like, oh bloody hell, you know, mixing with celebs and all that kind of stuff, you know.
yeah. Well,
the only way is up from now on.
Well, the Heads did a lot of good things, though, right? Toured America.
We toured America, yeah. It was kind of on the back of some money that Man's Ruin owed us for the 10 inches that we did. And we kind of just spent it on going over there. I can't remember the full detail. I'm probably talking absolute bollocks. But yeah, that was kind of basically to get some money and just tour with Nebula. Nebula were great. They just took us on, and they got a sort of a U-Haul trailer. And we just went on we just followed them down the West Coast. So we went from Seattle, and we sort of played with, you know, I think there was Jack Endino had a band. And John McBain was in the band as well. And Monkey Wrench played with us as well for a few shows. So yeah, it was pretty cool. It was good. But of course, we got there the first day, and because of the flight, some of the strings, well, basically Hugo's snapped some bass strings during the first sort of second song. So it's all right when you snap a string on a guitar, you expect it. But for the bass, I kind of think it threw them off a bit. But no, it was good fun. I mean, the jet lag was terrible. And the beer over there, it's 2001, it was dreadful. You just couldn't get drunk on it. It just kind of just gave you a stomachache, and that was it.
You ever watch
It's got a lot better now, I think.
Yeah. You ever watch American sitcoms from 15, 20 years ago, and they're calling someone an alcoholic when they sort of look at a glass of beer or whatever?
Yeah.
Different world over there, I think.
Yeah, I think I always remember, I suddenly remembered Terry Christian, which is a bit stupid, but I remember him saying that he went to a bar once in America. I had a picture of beer, and there were 6 of them around the table, and they'd finished that off, and he went, "Oh yeah, let's get another picture." And he went, one guy went, "Oh, you Brits know how to drink," you know, and it's just like one picture, but things have changed. I mean, this is 20 years ago, all of this, so
yeah.
I know they've got loads of IPAs and things like that, you know, various beers, etc., etc.
And so the Heads, where are they at now?
I think Simon's somewhere near the borders, and the rest of us are in Bristol somewhere. And I assume at some point we might do a gig.
Yeah,
we don't know. I mean, I think there was talk of doing a show on the internet, but I kind of wasn't too keen, and the travel restrictions was still in full flight. So I kind of wasn't too keen. I thought we might have made idiots of ourselves. And the trouble is as well, it's been recorded, you know, everyone can see you making complete fools of yourself when we can't remember any of the notes.
There's a lack of atmosphere to those things, right?
It must be weird. Yeah, it must be weird. It must be really odd. I mean, it's good that people did it. I mean, I think hopefully, well, who knows what's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, at some point, we were going to do a support slot with Mudhoney, I think. But I don't think that's probably happening this year. But, you know, that might happen next year. Yeah. But I think the thing is with the Heads, we haven't really recorded properly for a good 15 years. So it's just been like the odd gig now and again. And I think with any band, you kind of like, you've got your certain amount of years when you're fully active, you're practicing all the time, and you're recording and writing. And yeah, I think, you know, I think it's unlikely that something like that will happen again, but who knows?
But you
it'd be good, but you know, who knows?
Yeah, but you did the decent thing and didn't say you were splitting up, right?
No, I mean, we fell out a few times, like as bands do. I mean, when I joined them in '93, and they started in about 1991. So, and I think they were sort of quite influenced by Loop, with the odd strange bit of Hillage creeping in and a bit of cheesy indie coming in now and again, because they got a demo from 1991.
Yeah.
Which kind of goes a little bit cheesy in bits.
Yeah.
But then when I joined the band, we did a couple of songs. I think we did a song called Somber Carpet, where it sounds like Bad Pantera, because I just joined the band. And I was kind of into, I was kind of into the Stooges and things like that, but I kind of wanted to know how to play the guitar well. And so metal was creeping in, and to be called metal in any way was a massive insult. So, it was like, I had to just be careful. And then sometimes my fingers got a bit fast and I had to slow down. So at one point during the early stuff, I'm just like playing a one-note solo, because I'm just trying to avoid getting too widdly. Yeah. I get dirty looks. They'd be like,
cut that out.
Widdly twat,
Yeah,
but yeah, it's creeping again now. So
I think like Mudhoney is a close thing for the Heads, right? Would you say?
I think so. Definitely from Simon's perspective. I mean, Simon just loved Mudhoney. Absolutely loved Mudhoney. I mean, I had Super Fuzz Big Muff, but it never really hit me that hard. And I think I always had a problem with the my guitar sound. It always went a bit too metal. I would have liked to sound more like it's Steve Turner, isn't it? It's Steve, isn't it? Yeah. I would have preferred to have a sound more like his, a kind of blue cheer, kind of wobbly sound, but it always came out sounding, especially at the start, it sounded a bit slightly metal.
Is it one
of
the
metal mud?
Yeah, one of the things they do is they put the distortion before the wah wah, right? Is that the way they get their sound?
I don't know. I think there's those nice old amps that they use, because I had sort of like this horrible sort of Marshall sort of transistor amp, so it sounded really horrible for quite a long time. And then I had this Metal Master Arian pedal, which I got for 30 quid.
Yeah. Oh no.
An Arian Metal Master like that. Yeah. Well, have you got a?
It's an ultra metal Arian.
Oh yeah. Is that Arian as well? Is it? Or is that Aria? Beginning with A.
IA.
Right. Oh, right. I think I'm familiar with yeah, they did guitars, didn't they? But yeah, so I mean, Simon kind of helped me out after a while. He said, look, here's a fuzz pedal, use this instead. And kind of, because I was just totally skint, you kind of just scraped whatever you could get together. I remember I managed to get a small stone phaser guitar pedal, but it was actually joined up to a massive, it had like a standard plug going into this big sort of turtle shaped sort of adapter thing. So it could take it from a 240 volts down to 9.
Right.
So it had like a 60 amp fuse in it. It's like it's supposed to be used for HGV trucks. So every time I used to plug it in, it used to short out the whole room, I said, well, just cut that off and put a battery in it. Well, oh yeah, of course, yeah. So yeah. But yeah, I mean, I managed to find that for 20 quid. It was great. So you used to scrape stuff together, because I managed to find this great little synthesizer that made it sound like Hawkwind. No, Simon did. So you used to sort of just scrape stuff together. But yeah, I would have liked to have sounded a bit more like Mudhoney, but I think, yeah. But yeah, I did like their LPs, but I never kind of bought into them. And I think that the problem with a lot of that stuff was it was so bloody expensive. And you probably heard this before. You were kind of very limited by your budget. So, for me, it was like, right, shall I spend like 10 quid on the Mudhoney LP, or shall I get like this prog LP or something else for like 4 quid, or Raw Power for like £3.90, So it was, you're definitely sort of limited by your budget, I think.
Yeah. So where were the influences then for you? Aside from bad or good or whatever you said, Pantera. Is there a good Pantera? There must be a good Pantera.
I mean, I didn't own any Pantera records, but a mate went, Christ, that one sounds a bit like Pantera. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I had one Metallica LP. I used to have Master of Puppets, but my mate used to just, every time he came around, he said, oh yeah, like, I got 2,000 records. stick on Master of Puppets. And every time it came round, I mean, I found it in a charity shop. I thought, right, I'd say I'm fucking get rid of this bloody Master of Puppets. I'm sick of hearing it. And I used to hear it all the time. But I was never really into metal. You know, I was kind of I was just into sort of just rock stuff, really.
Yeah, I mean, the Heads aren't a metal band. I don't know where this is.
It's just a slight guitar solo. Now, it's a fine nuance. It's like a background solo that nobody knows or notices. That's what I do. I do kind of background sort of stuff that nobody notices. So yeah, you know. Anyway,
I think people notice what you get up to.
yeah. Well, no. I think it was nuanced.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about the influences that you did have then. I got a load of records here that I was sort of thinking, but I know that here's the thing, when I show any records here, I'm going to be speaking to someone who has opinions about originals and reissues.
Right, I see. Why Frozen?
You are Frozen a little bit, or totally in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I can see it's just like I've just frozen.
Yeah, it's a good pose, but ideally you'd be moving.
yeah. What's going on there? Is it just a wireless, I suppose? Is it? If I just move it around a bit.
Sometimes it just comes back to life. With
okay, nice.
Okay, so
take two. Yeah, so Mud's Honey. Yeah, I suppose it's kind of a bit of an influence. No, I'd say definitely that the Stooges were a big influence. Definitely, because it was definitely one of the bands that they said they liked, and I was just, oh, you know, what do you want me to do? Because but I knew that basically like the Stooges, and I had Funhouse at the time, and I didn't have the first LP because that was so difficult to find. It was like you could get on import for like 15 quid, but with all these records, it was basically you just had to scrape whatever you could find. Basically, it was just like I found Funhouse like for $4.90 in Replay and managed to pick it up. So I'd say definitely something like the Stooges. And I noticed you were just about to pick up a Sabbath LP. I think towards when I first started, we listened to a lot more Sabbath, but I think the main thing was the obvious one, Monster Magnet, because I mean I think Simon in particular had the first two singles. I think it was the first two singles. I mean, I didn't hear of them before I met the Heads, and the thing is with being in the band like the Heads, you kind of got to find out about a lot of music because Hugo and Simon worked at Replay Records, so you kind of were opened up to a lot of things. And yeah, definitely Monster Magnet was a massive influence initially. I think
Spine of God, right? That album.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I sold my copy of Spine of God because I just listened to it too much. I just heard it too many times. Basically, I didn't need to hear it ever again. Really,
is that how you work with your records? Then do you have a turnover?
Sometimes. I mean, the thing is, I think somebody else said it's like you need to cull now and again, don't you? You need to sort of like keep culling because certain records you don't ever need to hear again. I mean, I've kept most of the stuff, but Spine of God, it was just like, oh yeah, I don't need this. And I think the record jumped on the first track, so I thought, no, I'll just get rid of it. I think I've got silly money for it because it was an original or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
was thinking about the jumping thing recently because when I was like 12, 13, 14, I did a paper round. So I had Walkman on. I'd go out. You
a morning or an evening one?
I did both, actually. I did a morning one and an
evening one. Oh, Christ. I did the morning one. Anyway, yeah.
So I'd have the headphones on. And I've been wanting to raise this for people to see if this is something else that anyone else experiences. So I would record the record onto the cassette and then listen. But sometimes in my room, which had a rickety old record player, a record would jump. So I had a few. There was a Faith No More song that jumped, and there was a Public Enemy song that jumped, and these were on my cassettes.
Yeah.
And ever since then, because I listened to them so much, ever since then, whenever I hear those songs, if they don't jump, it's really weird. Like, it's...
Well, I have experienced it. I remember my mate Mitch, he lent me the White Album, the Beatles, and it was on tape, and I think it chewed up at one bit. So on Helter Skelter, there's a bit that just goes in and comes out on the tape. So when I hear Helter Skelter, when I used to hear Helter Skelter after that, I go, where's this big gap? Oh, that's what, it was like another sort of 30 seconds of music had suddenly, you know, been introduced. But yeah, I used to have that where you'd hear a record that you knew always jumped. I mean, I used to have some really cheap. When I was a kid, I used to go to the jumble cell. I was about 4 or 5, and I used to pick up the odd record. I think there was one by Kershaw Flyers called Little Does She Know, just like a cheesy 1976 pop thing. And there's like on all the crappy record players that we had, it always jumped to one bit. So it was like little does, and you know, I've always, and when I heard the song later on, I was, where's the jump? Where's the jump gone? Because it was always there.
Yeah, it's completely ingrained in you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. You just remember the jump.
So yeah, but actually, the reason I was going to show this earlier before we got rudely cut off was because I wanted to talk about. I don't care about buying reissues. Okay, I don't. You know, this is a £6.
It's an M's net. I can see it's an M's.
Yeah, so which is obviously, you know, for the. I don't.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on that? Because I think they differ.
Well, I think the thing is with reissues, when you first start out and you haven't got any money, you just grab whatever you can, really. And I had all the Black Sabbath on them's, and I remember, like, because their heads worked in a record shop, they'd have all the swirly ones. You can, oh, they look a lot nicer than mine. And of course, with Volume 4, it's got like a little booklet in it as well. Because on Sabbath 4, you get his Aussie, and no, somebody's missing on it. Who's missing on the? So you got Aussies on the thing. Yeah, I mean, where's Bill gone? Bill's not. Mr. Ward doesn't get a look in.
Hi, Bill. Yeah. And this was a precursor to what, about 3 or 4 years ago when Sabbath played without him. Maybe this was the message they were sending.
Right.
They had the
just forgetting about Bill. Yeah, that's it. You know. But yeah, I mean, the things with reissues, my opinion is just grab what you can, really. I mean, from my point of view, I prefer to have originals because I suppose I can afford it.
Yeah.
Even though I'm sort of like, it's mental because I'm living in a rented house, but I could never afford to buy. Yeah. You know, I could afford to buy records though. But I think the thing is, I just don't buy too many reissues or compilations because it's just a numbers thing. If I bought every single amazing reissue that came out, I would just have so many records. By sort of just concentrating on originals, it means that I've got less stuff. It's kind of a numbers game, really. And kind of at that point, it doesn't really have anything to do with music. It seems to be just space, you know. I mean, yeah, I can understand. I think it's good. Reissues are great, but I limit myself to with the reissues because of space. Because I mean, there's loads of great obscure LPs by, I mean, all that Nursery Wound stuff. I mean, you know, you got no chance of getting an original because like there's like 10 copies or something like that, you know, of Reverend Bumcrack or whatever his name is. But you know, it's just, yeah, it's, you know, so I just have to not buy reissues because it's just a matter of space.
Yeah.
But sometimes if the record's so good, you just think, oh, just get the reissue, mate. You know, just I want to hear it on vinyl. I want to hear it. So
well, this is the thing. Here's my, not that you asked, but here's my thing. See, okay, so here's a couple that I've bought reissues. It's Dragonfly Album.
Oh, it's that American, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
that's
Dragonfly.
it. Yeah.
And it's a reissue. It's on Sunbeam, like whatever. But the original is hundreds, right? And
yeah.
Here's another one, the Morgan album. If no one picked that.
Yeah, that's great LP. I mean, I haven't got a copy of that because the originals are ridiculous. I mean, it's now. I mean, I went through a phase of spending silly money on stuff, but it's those days are gone, and it's like, especially American stuff. I mean, the postage and everything.
Exactly. So for me, okay, I'm not going to hunt this out. I don't even want to spend more than 40 quid on it. I'm happy to spend.
Yeah, it's lots of money now.
Yeah. And it's actually hundreds of pounds, that thing. But what I like doing is buying, I like buying originals of new things. Okay.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, and here's an example of one that I was really pleased to always own is you need an Each One Teach One album.
I was thinking about that, yeah, because I got that. It was a bit of a bugger to get that, really, wasn't it?
Exactly, but I bought it new at the time to screen printed sleeve.
Yeah.
Amazing record.
Yeah, because I mean, we ripped him off on one of our tracks. We did a track called Stodgy, and it went on for about 20 minutes, and it was all influenced by that. You gotta look into, and he just go light for about half an hour.
Yeah.
Or asking to nick back just one note.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
One side of this double is that song you're just talking about. But
yeah, I mean, I've kept that one. It's a good LP.
I prefer buying the original of new stuff and just
that's a good attitude to have.
Reissues of old stuff because they don't really care so much.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's like the whole thing with buying too much old stuff. I do. I mean, a lot of my stuff's old stuff.
Yeah.
The thing is, you don't get to see them live, you know. And I mean, sometimes I remember at one point, Fat Paul was putting on a lot of old bands like the Seeds and Blue Cheer at the Fecla, and it was nice to see them. But you know, at the same time, you knew that it wasn't like they were, you know. And you think, well, really, I should be seeing new bands that are in their prime as opposed to old bands that sort of aren't as good as they used to be. But at the same time, it's nice to see them. You know what I mean? It's kind of, I don't know,
yeah,
you know.
No, totally.
I mean, the thing is, it's definitely with sort of, I don't know, as we're getting older, you think, well, people thinking that about me, Christ, you know, what are they like now? They're totally shit. They were great 20 years ago. But anyway, I'm waffling on now.
No, I agree. But like when I saw the Stooges, when was the Stooges? Late 90s, whenever they first got back together, maybe Mike Watt was playing bass, that era.
That's it.
I was so pleased to see him, you know.
No, it was great. I saw them. I think I saw them with it was I think it was Jay Mascis was playing with them, wasn't it? I think there was a gig in London. I think they played, and then they did another gig where it was like a rewind of Raw Power, and they had James Williamson on guitar, and that was brilliant. I love that, and I actually had my earplugs out for that. I mean, I think the last 10 minutes I put them in again because my hearing's screwed. But yeah, no, that was a really good gig. That actually, they did a good job. I mean, I know a few of my mates went, it was crap. I just went, no, I loved it. It was brilliant. It was just great to see them all doing Raw Power, there. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I saw them in Somerset. That's where I saw them.
All right.
Yeah, they played in Minehead.
I tell you what, I was watching one of your things the other day. Was it with the singer in your band? Can't remember his name. I'll crap the names. And he showed a Dogs D'Amour. He showed a Dogs D'Amour ticket, and I think I saw them on the same tour. I mean, I thought they were terrible, but my mate really liked them. He used to dress up like one of Dogs D'Amour, and I thought, oh God, I remember seeing the beer colour. It was. I mean, the beer colour never had a good sound anyway, but it was dreadful. Yeah. I mean, they just went about drinking wine, didn't they? It's like drinking wine, and they all thought they were Keith Richards. It was really bad.
They were touring the In a Dynamite Jet Saloon album. I've still got the record. I don't care.
I like they're all from Bromsgrove or something, and they go on about saloons or something like that. They're like fucking glam rock cowboys and stuff.
Can you imagine wandering around the Midlands with like those boots?
Well, yeah, I mean, down East Street, Bedminster, you wouldn't get away with that. I mean, especially like in the 80s, you would have been killed, looking like that. I mean, I remember like if you had long hair in the 80s, you had trendies everywhere, sort of like highlighted hair and fleck trousers. Anybody who had long hair were called a jitter. I mean, you've heard of the name jitter?
No.
Yeah, in the West Country, if you had long hair, you'd be a jitter. You're a jitter. You're a jitter. Used to get abuse from cars,
What does
jitter? You jitter?
What does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's something to do with amphetamines. I don't know. But yeah, you were just called jitter. Here, you bloody jitter! Get your haircut, you bastard!
I used to. This is a side thing, but it's just for some reason I'm just getting reminded of it. I used to drop my kid off at school in Walthamstow. Yeah. We lived in Walthamstow.
Oh, right.
Like East London there. And one street away from their school was where the main guy from the Bevis Frond lived.
Oh, right. Yeah. Nick Solomon, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it Salomon? I don't know.
Yeah. And he lives in an enormous sort of just big terrace house. And he's got his like tour van parked outside. And in a street that's getting quite sort of gentrified in its own way, he still lives like it's the 1970s, right in the middle of this street.
Right, so he's like me. He's the last sort of man standing in the suburb. It's gentrified all around him, Yeah.
And I don't know much about this one, but I'm under this impression that their record label was Warzones. records.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not too familiar with them. It was just another one of those. I think that's the thing. I keep coming back to this. There was so many bands and music that you kind of heard of, but you never actually heard them. Because I'd open Record Collector and it'd be Ben Vestron and his first record, and I think, well, what does this sound like? And you never had no chance of hearing it anyway, because none of it was played on the radio or it wasn't on Top of the Pops. You know, it was just no, unless you had peers that were into that kind of music. I mean, when I was a kid, it was me and my older sister. My older sister was into pop, so you would kind of hear bits of pop and stuff like that. So I wouldn't get like a older brother who was into punk or anything like that. All I kind of knew was really what was going on in the charts and like what my sister was listening to, who was 2 years older than me. So, you know, it was just difficult to find things, wasn't it, really? I think at certain points, unless you were listening to John Peel, but I didn't really listen to John Peel when I was a teenager.
No, I've openly admitted on here that I was more influenced by Tommy Vance as a young kid in terms of...
you're part of the metal crowd.
Yeah.
Well, my mate was as well. He was the only jitter in our school, and he used to like Cinderella, and he used to have a Cinderella patch on his back. So he's dealing with loads of trendies going, "Yeah, you like pantomime, do you, jitter? Bloody Cinderella, what's that?" You know, and then it's like, I think it was the Night Songs period. So they're really, you know, ponced up, sort of just looking really kind of pouty. So it's like no holds barred LA glam rock. And he used to go F off, you know. He used to just take it. But yeah.
Fair play.
I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, anyway.
So ultimately we're here to talk about your records. So let's move on and see how we get on. We'll go through the list. There's a few other things I'd like to talk about with, especially yourself there, with the way you hunt out records, because I'm like friends with you online and I watch you weekend after weekend trawling the world. And
just absolute crud. Yeah,
but we'll get to it, I hope. So let's have a record from your favorite record shop. Okay,
well, I've mentioned them before, and the thing is, there's loads of great record shops now. I mean, you know, there's like Wanted Records and Gastro Vinyl, and there's Longwell Records, all these record shops. There's loads of them in Bristol. I mean, you know, some of the more collector type ones, the prices are astronomical. You can get anything you want, but some of the prices are eye-watering now. But, you know, I'm an old man. I'm used to paying a lot less. But anyway, for me, it's all about kind of record shops that I used to go to, and that was my only way of actually finding new stuff. So my favorite place, still got one of their bags, Replay Records. Sweet. This is like a first press plastic carrier bag. I've got the second press here. Slightly different one there. So yeah, I mean, this record here, I mean, well, the first time I went into Replay Records, and they were by the bus station in Bristol. One of the first ones I got was Tad.
Great record.
And when I got this, I thought I was just being super edgy. I just thought, you know, flipping out, I'm so alternative now. You know, I'm sort of getting in, instead of sort of listening to the Beatles, I'm listening to Tad now, you know. Yeah. So yeah, this is one of the first records I kind of got from Replay, and it, you know, Replay was great because Hugo and Simon worked there, and sort of the guy Pete Wright, he kind of funded the first Head single as well. So, you know, we used to just hang out there all the time as well. I used to sort of just bother them every day. I remember when I used to, I was collecting job seekers allowance, and you had to put in this green form. You had to go, "What have you done this week to look for work?" And they'd be like, "Looked at Evening Post, the newspaper, didn't see anything. What will you do? Buy it next week." Went to Replay Records, asked them if they had a job for me. They said no. What will you do? Come back next week. So yeah, and it's always hang out at Replay Records, and you used to get stuff cheap because they used to do that great thing with, if a record hung around for ages, it'd be like go from 20 down to 19, and I remember there were like prog records in there that we all thought was a total joke at the time. And like they'd start off at like 20 quid and they'd be down to 50p in the 50p section, you know. But yeah, no, it was a great little shop, you know, and it was a shame when they went, because, you know, I think, you know, now there's this resurgence. I think they would have done quite well because they were so conveniently placed as well, so right by the bus station. So I think they're very much missed by people in Bristol. definitely. So yeah, that was one of my favorite shops, I think.
Yeah, was that in the roundabout
Yeah. So I got a picture. I found it today, actually. It's a really crap photo. I don't know if you can make it out. You see that?
Oh yeah.
It's like kind of in the subway, in the bear, near the bear pit.
Yeah.
Which is basically a kind of, subway roundabout type thing where you can get mugged really easily, and
I know
They
exactly.
used to be underneath there.
I had a really good Chinese there a few years ago. Is it still there, the Chinese?
I think there was a Chinese restaurant or Chinese takeaway right near to it. Yeah. I don't know if it's there anymore.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's not the sort of place I go, because there used to be like a Boney Maroney's across the road, which used to do rockabilly stuff.
Oh, right.
And I remember going in there once, and it was like in the early 90s, and it was like I was sort of hanging out with people who were into kind of like the 60s freak beat resurgence, when they started calling some psych records freak beat.
Yeah.
And I have this one mate I knew, he sort of I thought, right, I'm going to get in and be really cool with these people, and I got some trousers, stripy trousers, but I just looked like a Kiss reject. I just
this
looked terrible.
Did you get
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, I was more into the British stuff, but yeah, that as well. I mean, yeah, it was that was like kind of, for a moment I was trying to get in on that. I mean, I love the music, but I just looked like an idiot with my stripy trousers. Because then about 3 months later, all the sort of girls, all the Sharons started going to discos with the same stripy trousers. So I had to just throw them away in the end. It was a little ridiculous.
With your Master of Puppets album.
Yeah. Well, no, I kept that for a little bit longer.
So tell me about the record shops in Bristol now. I'm quite local to it, and I know there's a lot. I get lost up there when I'm looking for them, like Gloucester Road and whatever else.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best place is St. Nick's Market, because you've got quite a few there. You've got the Wanted Records, which is run by John Stapleton. That's kind of collector stuff. There's a wide range of stuff, but then you've got the real high-end collector stuff as well, But John's a maniac with vinyl. He will just go out and search and search and search. Right. He's like always finding stuff. It's mental. Then you got I don't know if the old fella's still there. Face the Dawn used to be there. Then there's the rock shop, which is kind of more sort of punk and metal stuff. And then you've got a reggae shop, all within the same sort of market complex. And my mate up at Park Row, Gastro Vinyl, it's quite a small shop, but his prices are reasonable. He's a nice chap. And then there's Gloucester Road, where you got like places like Plastic Wax, and I think there's another shop up there now. There's quite a few shops up there as well. So Bristol's got tons of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I was listening to this podcast called We Buy Records, and I think they did a sort of report on Bristol, and they really liked it. So yeah, I think it's definitely a good place for vinyl. But it's city prices. And then you've got Longwell Records as well, which has just opened a unit near the dockside. And he's based in Keynsham, and he's definitely a character, is Ian. But yeah, he's trying to stock sort of Bristol stuff as well, because he was interested in picking up a few Heads records. So I think the problem that we've had, I mean, there's Rough Trade as well, obviously, for all the new stuff as well. So yeah, there's loads now. I mean, at one point there was nothing. I mean, there was nothing at all. So yeah, it's definitely picked up.
Yeah,
definitely picked up.
Yeah, but there's loads, and there's like electronic shops as well, if you're into that sort of stuff. What's that one on there's a shop I quite like just up from the roundabout. You go up that road, you take the first right up the road towards like the Croft and whatnot, or where the Croft used to be.
Yeah.
Take the first right. Is it City Road or whatever? I think there's a
Oh yeah. Is there a record shop there? Is there?
Yeah, I can't remember. It's an electronic one.
I mean, yeah, they're cropping up everywhere. I mean, when I go searching for stuff, I tend to leave Bristol alone now, because I'm looking for cheap, random stuff. Just that's what I like. But yeah, I guess we'll come back to that. But yeah, Bristol is good for. There's definitely plenty of record shops. I know you had one shopping street, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you never had any records. You're like, you got any records? Yeah, I've got to bring more records in. It's like there was like about 5 records in each shelf, and a massive description of the grading. But there was only like 3 or 4 records in each sort of in each rack.
When he first opened, I went in there, and I knew he was like really into like hip hop and whatever else. He was playing some Eminem, and I was like, "Do you know who's playing the bass and drums on this song?" Okay. Like he sampled
Chaz and Dave, isn't it?
It's Chaz and Dave, right?
Yeah.
So, which is like, you know, people know that, right? Or, you know, and he was like, oh, who's Chaz and Dave? And then I thought to myself,
what?
You're not going to last.
Oh no, Chaz and Dave. I mean, if you like snooker, I mean, you know, Snooker Loopy. You know, it's just a classic track, isn't it?
Yeah, and so it didn't last.
No Chaz and Dave knowledge. You're screwed, mate. That's it. Yeah, that wasn't a great shot, was it, that one?
Unfortunately not. Record with memories.
Record with memories. Okay. Okay, let's have a look down here. Where has this gone? Find it somewhere. Can't bloody find it. I may have to edit this bit. Why find it? Can't find it.
No more editing. One edit per show.
Is it one edit per show? Is it?
That's the rule.
Okay, so this is a bit. I'm not trying to be willfully obscure, but this has some disturbing memories for me. Can you see that?
It looks like a flexi disc.
Yeah. Can you see it?
Yeah.
See what's that?
The Unexplained.
And that's it. The Unexplained. Right. This was a flexi that was given out with the Unexplained magazine. So it covered things like UFOs, ghosts, spontaneous human combustion. In the magazine, it contained sort of burnt bodies, which is great for an 8-year-old to see. This was released first in about 78 or 80. So with the magazine, the first edition, you had a free flexi disc with Voices from the Dead, recorded by Konstant Raudiv. Now, basically, you've got this woman talking and they say, this is Mrs. Petrovsky, who they contacted through this electronic system that he has. I don't know how. It's some kind of recording. And then it repeats the apparent ghost voice 3 times. And it gets louder each time. So I had this when I was about 8, listened to this twice, and I was so fucking scared. I actually, you know, sort of just screwed it up and threw it in the bin. I mean, I found this in the car boot a little while ago. And it was originally released in 1975 with a book. It's called Breakthrough. So it's basically Voices from the Dead. Examples and explanations are given in the commentary on the enclosed record. So it went with a book. So it's basically, he was using some kind of electronic device to record apparent voices from the dead. When you're 8 years old, I mean, now you think, oh yeah, I'm not too sure about that. I mean, I kind of like stuff like that.
You're not too sure about that.
Yeah, but then I was very sure of it. And I was just like, ah! You know, it's ghost voices. You know, I mean, you know, imagine it being 8 years old. I mean, because the adult was presenting it to you and saying, these are voices from the dead. And you think, my God. You know, so yeah, I mean, that's the thing. That's the song. That's the record that's got the most memories. I mean, a record that had a serious effect on me to sort of scare me, you know. Yeah. So, you know, it's something I do definitely remember. And it's interesting to have something that has that effect on you, because I've never had that since. I mean, I remember the first time. I do this because someone always mentions Throbbing Gristle. So, I mean, when I first heard this, I mean, there's some horrible stuff on this. I mean, it's like it's kind of cloud of sort of deathly psych, isn't it? And then you've got these horrible sort of mass murdery type tape recordings in it. It gets pretty nasty in places. The first time I heard this, I thought, Christ. I mean, there's another record on the United Dairies label, which I can't find. But I remember hearing that. It's called Music Concrete Bringing Up Baby. And that just scared the hell out of me the first time I heard that. And I can't bloody find the thing. Where is it? Oh, here we go. Here we go. So that is that.
Oh.
So I mean, it's just there's a lot of sort of weird glissando guitar on it, and then there's one bit with sort of just like this wavering sort of tape echo, and suddenly it gets interspersed with this child singing. It's like, what is this? It's just, I mean, the first time I heard it, I just went, just take it off. I can't listen to it anymore. I mean, I can listen to it now, but it was like, I think I was in an altered state when I was about 22, and my hippie mate said, oh, I got the green LP, man. And it was basically, it didn't have the actual sleeve. It was just like this. Oh, this is the black vinyl version, but it was like a green vinyl, and it just freaked the life out of me. You know, it scared me.
Yeah.
I find it interesting to hear music that scares you. I don't get it anymore because I think as you get older, you'll less surprised by things, and I think that's why you kind of get stuck in a rut, because you kind of heard a lot. But yeah, that one really freaked me out. So.
Well, like even when I listen to Throbbing Gristle now, and I still find them quite horrible.
Yeah, they're quite nasty, aren't they? Really. I mean, there's some of the tracks. I mean, think, Christ Almighty. I mean, I haven't read that Cozy Fanny Tootie book yet, but yeah, old Genesis doesn't come across well, does he?
No.
No. I mean, he was a very strange character.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, all that kind of performance art with kind of doing various things with various holes and things like that. I mean, that's not normal, is it? Let's face it.
No. Yeah.
It's art in a very strange way.
Yeah, he seemed quite wrong in many ways, I think. But
yeah, that's what I've heard.
But the flexi discs, they're I see people are making them again in quite a big way.
Are they?
Yeah.
I mean, I know the cassette came back a bit, and I did a few cassettes with Zam Zam Records, where it's just you did 30 copies of various experimental musics. But I didn't know flexi discs were coming back.
Yeah, they're there's a record pressing plant actually. Well, I think it's probably just the office for it is based in Plymouth. And they do them.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So.
They're not very. They don't sound that great, do they? That's in trouble. But I suppose if they're cheap to make, then
Yeah, and very quick turnaround.
Right, I see.
So,
well, everyone's waiting for pressings at the moment, aren't they? Because all those copies of Elton John's 1973 LP that they got to press on red vinyl, etc., they've got a bit of a backlog.
Got to prioritise. So, just quickly, I saw you put the record of the baby in. You had it in. This is a real nerdy thing, right?
Right. Okay.
But you didn't have it in the sleeves. Do you keep it outside of the sleeve?
Yeah, because I don't want to kind of get the sleeve too damaged. I mean, this is the next level, nerd. I've got it in a rice papery thing.
Yeah.
Because it's a bit more of an expensive record. Because I mean, it came in a paper sleeve. Because I'm that sad, it's basically just to stop it getting scuffed when you take it in and out.
Right.
So it's getting into a real kind of, I don't know what the right word is for it. It's just ridiculous. You can get a picture of Mr. Don't Buy Any Reissues, and he's got his records outside the sleeve. What a wanker. Anyway.
No, it's interesting.
Yeah, no, I do that a lot. I didn't used to do that, but I tend to do it now for some reason. I mean, in some ways, you think, it's going to get more dusty in it, but I don't know. I just got into that habit because sometimes you're there. When you're in a record shop, and if you're imagine you're like in a really uncomfortable record shop, and the guy's really surly, or you're a record fair, and like you're looking at the record, and he's really staring at you like you're going to nick it, and then when you try and put the record back into the sleeve, you can't get it in there quite, and it's like a 50 quid record, and he's just looking at you, and you're struggling with it, and it's just it's that nightmare, it's anyway. What am I talking about anyway?
No, I don't. But my thing is, would it not if you got it stored like this, does it not mark the ring wear on the outside of the sleeve? Like the sleeve is the ideal place to store a record.
Yeah,
it's built for it in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So,
but yeah,
I can see. Yeah, I don't know. But would it be in the record create ring wear as well? Who knows? I don't know. It's a hot potato, Joe. It's a raw potato.
It is, and I didn't even realize it was a potato at all. But now it's a boiling hot.
Yeah, it's not. Well, I heard it said once that something about a potato. So forgive me.
But I don't look. See, I don't care. I'll buy secondhand records like that. Get the state of that.
See, I don't mind. I don't mind if the cover's a bit knackered.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't mind that. I mean, I don't know. I think it got worse for me maybe 20 years ago, because before that, I used to sort of have a Iowa sort of stack system. So the main sort of focus was on CDs. I had a free CD interchanger. You think, oh yeah, I could put free CDs in, use my remote control, and the turntable was just like an afterthought. It was like a piece of plastic with a really crap stylus that jumped even if you farted in the kitchen, and we're playing it in the living room. Really shit stylus,
Yeah.
And then my mate, sort of Rich, he found his Technics in a skip, and then a few years later he said, "Oh yeah, you can have this for a bit, borrow it." And I started listening to records on the proper turntable. I was thinking, actually, this sounds really good. So I think after that, about 20 years ago, that's when I started getting a bit more into vinyl than actual CDs, you know, because I had such a shit system. I mean, I remember you saying about recording things on tape. I think we had this really bad sort of tape record player thing. And sometimes I think when I'd recorded something, you could actually hear me shuffling in the background or something like that because it was so microphonic. The stylus is so shit. Wait a minute, I can hear me. Is that me banging on down the stairs at that point? It's just the recording was so lo-fi. But yeah, it's dreadful. But yeah, so I think that's why I kind of got a bit more retentive about vinyl and just got a bit more obsessive, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I think this next category is ideal for you, I think. Bargain find.
Bargain find. Well, like I said, I mean, I scour the shops. I mean, like I said, since I got that turntable, and then I started getting more obsessive and going to charity shops and car boots and things like that. I mean, before that, I was just concentrating on sort of doing the band more than anything. But then I got a bit more obsessive, and yeah, I mean, there's tons of stuff I picked up over the years. I mean, it's drying up a little bit now, but yeah, I mean, for example, some singles I picked up. This is like the Birds, the British band The Birds. You're on My Mind.
Oh yeah.
That was like 50p in a carbo. And then like this Skiff Biffity, which is like a UK psych LP. I found that for £1.99. That was great. And just trying to think, but I mean, I found this in the early days before I was really hunting for stuff. There's a couple of good finds. I mean, this one, Night Flights, I really liked. I mean, at the time, I got this and I thought, oh God, it's the Walker Brothers from the 70s. And I thought it's going to be another bad sort of AOR country sort of type LP. But the 4 tracks that Scott Walker does at the start, they're brilliant. I mean, they're sort of quite dark and a little bit Joy Division-y. And yeah, they're just brilliant. And it was a nice surprise, because I wasn't out to just like, get something that was, super rare. It was just unintentionally just bought it. And I just listened to it loads. I mean, the 4 Scott Walker tracks are great, but then the Gary Walker ones are just really awful. It's like sort of awful, sexy saxophone music, and the John Walker ones are pretty bad as well. But the Scott Walker ones are brilliant. And it was, I know, sort of later on people started raving about it, but at the time I just didn't know anything about it. Well, I'll give you one more bargain find. Just indulge me. So this is another one where it was like a complete surprise. I didn't know what I was looking at really, but I sort of collect 78s if they turn up cheap. This is like on the Jambo label, which apparently is from Kenya. So yeah, I went into a shop in Nelsey, and obviously I don't know, some colonial white colonial chap maybe sort of brought them back. But he sort of retired in Nelsey and then sort of donated to the charity shop. I don't know, but this is great. I mean, this is kind of like tribal sort of hypnotic stuff, and it's just, I've got 2 copies of the same record, but it was just like a complete surprise. It was like, what is this? I mean, I managed to pick up about 5 of them, and there's ones with one of the other ones. The guy's just like playing guitar, and it's so out of tune. It's incredible. It's just sounds like the guitar's falling apart. I managed to pick up about 5 of those, and that was great. I mean, like I said, I picked up ones that are sort of have got value, but just say the Walker Brothers one and these Jambo records, they were sort of like musically more interesting and important, really, I think. But it was great finding, it was like, what is, I'd never seen anything like it before, so it was a complete mystery to me.
Yeah. I take it your record player plays 78s?
I've got an Audio Technica which can play 78s. It's not a great turntable, but it's kind of like a Technics copy, and it's got a 78 setting. So you get a 78 stylus on eBay, and you can play 78s.
Yeah,
I mean, I sort of collected library 78s as well. I mean, I've got a load of library electronic 78s as well, which I picked up over the years, kind of BBC radiophonic stuff, and I think I've got some Moondog ones as well. So it's no, I really do like the format, but yeah, they're so heavy. I mean, I don't want to buy too many 78s because they're just very impractical, really.
Yeah, I know. So go back to John Peel. John Peel was an enormous fan of 78s, right? He did his, was it Pig 78 or whatever?
Yeah, that's it. It's my wife used to choose 78 every week.
Yeah.
I remember one of the, they were kind of quite musical, wasn't there?
Yeah.
My Baby's Crazy About Everybody But Me, I think is the one I remember, which is quite funny.
But
yeah.
So we did one thing with him, and
yeah,
session for John Peel, and
all right.
Bob, our guitarist, bought him a 78. He's like, "I picked this up for you," and gave it to him as a present. John Peel looked at it.
Nice.
Yeah, he was like, he looked at it and goes, "Great song, terribly, terribly racist." That was it.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
I don't think it got played.
I think the KKK did some 78s, didn't they, or something like that? But, you know,
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. There's previous episode with John Doran. He holds up a Honest John's compilation of what I assume was 78s from like 100+ years ago, where they had access to the EMI vaults and could just pick and put on their compilations. Really excellent.
Right.
Stuff of its time.
I remember going to a charity shop once, and there was free. There was like 4 records with stormtrooper music, Nazi stormtrooper music, and they actually all stank really badly of cigarettes.
Right.
Yeah. You know, I thought, well, I'll leave those. You know, there's sort of
just
recordings of stormtroopers. I mean, you know, yeah. So that's a bit dodgy.
And you left them because of the smell, right?
They stank, yeah. They just really stank really badly. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
So you like, because like I said, we're friends online, and every single weekend it seems, like up to last year, of course.
Yeah.
You seem to be traveling around, certainly the southwest, and you'd be like, now I'm in, and then you'd name some place I've never heard of, and you'd talk about
it. Yeah. I mean, it sort of becomes an addiction. You kind of, it's great to find things like, I mean, that's rare finding those 78s. You never find stuff like that usually, but it's kind of letting random elements take hold, and it's just the anticipation of finding something, and then when you find it, it's great, and then you play it, and then trouble is half the time it just goes back into the shelf, and then you're on to the next one. So it seems to be some kind of addiction that I have. But yeah, I do love it because you will find some great stuff. I mean, like I said, it's getting harder and harder, and like there was a car boot that I used to do a lot, but it just got too leery. It just got too violent. I mean, I was there once, and you know, sort of somebody came out with a bag of life, and it was all Mantovani and Roger Whittaker, the usual sort of stuff you see. And then some guy was like, you could see his hands sort of going between my legs. I went, oh, hey, watch out. He went, oh, and it's like, it was getting really, I was like, good God, this is getting too much. I'm going to get nearly killed for looking at Roger Whittaker records. So I just thought, no, I can't. Car boots get really leery. If you go to certain ones, it's really a bit too feisty.
Oh, really?
It's so I kind of got put off a little bit, but yeah, you know, every weekend it's like an addiction. I need to go out and see what I can find, you know, sort of, you know, while I'm sort of semi-retired with the heads, I'm just going around sad old man trying to find records. But you do find some great stuff, you know. And again, it's an interesting journey, definitely.
So like again, this comes up a lot, but charity shops are ruined a bit by Discog prices and whatnot, and they follow book prices a bit more now, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can see what they're doing. I mean, it's what they got to do. They've got to make as much money as possible for charity, you know. And I sort of do volunteer places and do help with pricing, and you know, I'll donate loads of records to the local hospice as well. But it's I mean, sometimes the prices are crazy. I mean, I saw like a £2 classical record, and they wanted £2,000 for it. It was like, what are they doing? But you know, it's gone crazy. It has gone crazy. I mean, Bristol, it's got really high, the prices, and that's why you go to other towns, little towns, to find cheaper stuff. But yeah, it's everywhere, isn't it? Discogs gives everyone the knowledge to sort of, you know, see how much records are worth, but they'll get it really seriously wrong sometimes. But
yeah,
now and again, you'll pick up stuff. You will pick up stuff. So, you know, but you know, I think it's that moral line, isn't it? Because I think I said to you, I found this one particular record, and you go, "Well, didn't you donate? Did you like give them like a couple of grand?"
I was joking.
yeah, I know. It's tough, isn't it? Because you think, well, I mean, I don't know. It's a tough one. I can see why they're doing it, and it's great they're getting as much money as possible. Because I mean, if I donated a load of stuff to a certain shop, I wouldn't someone putting out for 50p if it was semi decent. But yeah, getting the bargains is very difficult these days. You know, it's getting tougher and tougher. I mean, in the 90s it was crazy. I mean, this is before, because in the 90s I wasn't really focusing on searching for sort of rare vinyl or anything like that. I was just buying CDs and I was concentrating on playing guitar and doing music with the heads. I mean, I think at that point there was this golden period where all these people were just getting rid of all their vinyl and just replacing with CD. And I think people say that, you know, sort of that was the time when it was just amazing for vinyl. And I remember there's like this one story that it's car boot in Gardner, near Gardner Haskins. This guy had come out with all these records and they're all incredibly rare. And there was just like a sort of like a bun fight. Everybody was going mental and just, it was just a battlefield basically. And the guy was really chuffed that he'd made 50 quid. And I think every record was worth £100 or something like that. But you get stories like that. Yeah.
Well, the job I do is I go from a postman, and I'll go to people's houses, and if their garage door's open, I always have a little look just to see if they, you know, they could be like a sort of, you know, they've stored their records are just now in the garage doing nothing. I'm always hoping one day that is how I'm going to find bargains. Is find a box of records in someone's garage. I only look if the garage door's open. I don't go around opening people's garage doors or climbing into their lofts.
Well, that's why I used to have that car boot. They just jump into their cars. And that's one particular car boot. Someone would just jump into their car and just like, so they haven't even taken anything out. They would just jump into the car. So, yeah. But no, I mean, sometimes, you would get the odd house visit and things would, you would find some good stuff, But, no, I mean, I do ask now and again, have you got any records then? Have you got any records? And then sometimes you get sort of strung a line and they say that they got records, and then you contact them, you start stalking them, and, you lay off because you don't hear anything from them. And, I don't know, it's crazy.
Yeah, well, I
give up. I think it's going to get to, like with the car boots, it is that point I just thought, right, stop it. And I think I'm getting to that point now where I've got so much stuff, I'm thinking, maybe I need to just lay off of this, a little bit. It's getting too much.
We call them like in our little group of people, we call them shelf classics, where you buy a record, have it for about 3 seconds in your hand, and then, like you say, just put it in the shelf, and that's it.
Yeah.
Again, it's a shelf classic. It's just like
yeah. It's just like a trophy. It's like, oh yeah, that's nice. Then it goes in there, and you'll never, it's like when you can have the time to listen to all of this, as well.
And it's this thin. It's on your shelf. You can't see
that's it. That's all you can see. Like, you might have spent ridiculous amounts of money on it, and it's just
you don't even see
a small sliver of paper.
You see this?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is as well, it's like the money thing, I mean, I think that, it's like doo-wop and like some of the rock and roll stuff. It's not worth the high prices it used to be worth. So the whole sort of trend thing, I mean, you think, all that money that you spent on these records, nobody's going to care. I mean, the kids are going to say, oh, it's just all crap. I don't want any of this. It's just rubbish,
No.
Throw it into the tip.
And I do wonder, like, when I'm at the wrong side of the grass, what my kids will do with them.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Straight in a skip.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Just skip higher, please.
Yeah, that's it. And the stuff there that I sweated, blood for. I got into fights. That Roger Whittaker record, I got beaten up to get that one in the shelf. In
the shelf. So, the Heads did a lot of touring. I'm assuming Anthroprophh have done dates here and there. I'm not sure how much touring.
Yeah.
But hit me with a record bought on tour.
Record that I bought on tour.
Yeah. And did you do a lot of record hunting and stuff on tours? Like
a little bit. I mean, with Roadburn, I played Roadburn a few times. I can't remember the name of the sea. What's the name of the sea again? Tilburg, that's it. I used to always go to the record shop there and pick up some nice singles and things like that. But I remember when we did Anger, me and Pricey, we sort of wandered off to down the road and sort of randomly found a a record fair. So we went in there.
And what town was this? What town was this again? Sorry.
It was Enger. I think it's either, I can't pronounce it. It's Bladefeld or Enger. So it's in West Germany somewhere, and it was in the late 90s. And then we kind of randomly went to this record fair, and I managed to pick up this sensitive record by Birth Control, Hoodoo Man. I mean, it's yeah. But it was quite a funny record because there's some serious sort of scatting on one track, but it's kind of heavy, sort of proggy, deep purpley stuff. It's not, it's not classic by all means, and it's a bit sexist, but it was funny at the time. But then I managed to pick up this record as well, sort of a Noi, to a Brain original, and it was like for 60 Deutschmarks, I think it was for.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I was really chuffed to get that. And I remember there was another record there by a band called Eulenspiegel, and it's like basically it's like a chicken on an egg, and it's like kind of like heavy proggy stuff. And I just went, oh, how much is that, mate? And he couldn't really speak English, and obviously I was crap at German, so I think he was just saying, no, put it back. So just put it back. You can't afford this. Right. So yeah, he was just going, no, and I was going, all right, yeah, how much? No. Those so I couldn't even buy it.
Those sleeves for those sort of records, like what you're just describing, it's this sort of thing. It's like
yeah. I mean, that's it. There's a certain time in Europe where they were just releasing these really horrible looking sleeves.
Okay,
horrible.
That's bad. And then they have all like the sort of
yeah. So no, we are bad. So let's have like the outtakes, you know, where the guy's bending down, pick up an apple or something like that.
The ones that didn't.
Like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I mean, eyes. Yeah, lovely. But yeah, no, there are certain, especially sort of krautrock records for a certain period. You think, oh my God, what's going on there? Like, you know, it's like a sort of robot with his cock out or something like that. Really horrible stuff, you know.
You're kind of glad that it's like this.
Yeah, that's it. You don't feel like kind of like this all the time, you know. It's like, you know, especially, you know, like a Reitberg. Yeah, showing my age. But that's the thing with a lot of those heads covers, they kind of, now it looks really dated. And especially as I'm an old man, is kind of like got sort of naked ladies on the front. It kind of just feel like a bit of a dirty old man now, really, you know, with all these kind of covers. I suppose it was of its time, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, I can't help but think that for me, those times are gone. Like
yeah, that's it, definitely. Yeah, those times are gone. Yes, it's kind of a good thing, you know, definitely.
Yeah. But I know some bands still doing it all the time, like Acid Mother's Temple or whatever. The next Acid Mother's Temple album almost certainly has nudes on the front. I don't even know.
Yeah, no, it's kind of looking a bit passe now, isn't it? I mean, you know, I don't know. Especially as we get older, you know, it's just, yeah, it kind of looks a bit naff, you know. I just don't think, yeah, it would convince anybody really. But yeah, some bands are still doing, aren't they? Like, you know, yeah. It's a sensitive subject.
But your head stuff being reissued, though, right?
Yeah, as we're getting Undecided is coming out next, so that should be out sort of this year or next year. There's some outtakes on it, and there's some, because we did some demos for it as well. So yeah, that's going to be out soon. And I think we're doing this Jubilee version of the first LP. I mean, it's great that people are still buying this stuff, because it's not like Birdland, where, you know, they kind of release one record and you can't get rid of it for 90p. Yeah. You know, at least we're lucky that people still buy the stuff. Because I mean, the Fuzz Against Junk, band I was in for a while, we released a couple of CDs, and most of the second LP just went in landfill. So I sort of saved a few from landfill, and I just give them to people now and again. I don't know what they usually throw them. I mean, it wasn't that bad a record, but just it's funny how some things catch on and some things just don't at all whatsoever. And we're quite lucky that it's happened with the heads, that people still like it and want to listen to it. It's good.
Yeah, I guess because it's of a time, it's timeless in a way. Like you're harking back to a certain time, like early 70s. But all the way through to like your Monster Magnets, your early 90s, is a big period.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say, really. I don't know. Maybe it's the sort of cheesy drug references. I don't know what it is, really. I don't know. But it's good. It's good that it's, you know, we can still release this stuff, you know.
Yeah. And so talking of the sleeves then, do you like do them different sleeves for these releases, or if you're not happy with something that you did 20-30 years ago, you're thinking, okay, yeah, let's
No, it's still the same old sleeve. Yeah, still the same old sleeve. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's. I think sometimes I remember like used to get sort of like I think UFO did they did a reissue of one of their first LPs. It was like I think it's their second LP, Space Rock, and the front of it's kind of like this proggy goblin in space going like that. And then like somebody reissued it in Northern Ireland, and it's just UFO, just a few. The UFO repeated the same word. It's really bad. I can remember a lot of reissues where they would have new artwork, and it just looked really bad. Like, so I think Warhorse did one as well, which was terrible.
Yeah, I know. Like a current band who are very guilty of that is Boris.
Are they reissuing their stuff? Are they changing it completely?
Over the years, they've reissued them so many times, and they did one.
Oh right.
I don't know a great deal about Boris, but we did play with them a few times, and their merch table was insane. Like people
Right.
crazy rebuying records that they already had. They did a series of like what's his name? Oh God, I'm going to say the Brighter Later album. Him, who did Brighter Later?
Oh yeah, I've got that. Was it? Yeah, yeah. That's not too bad. That one. I think I've still got that. Yeah.
Nick Drake. So yeah,
Nick Drake one. Brighter Later. Yeah.
Boris did that, didn't they? With that.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. It was like a double neck sort of guitar or something like that.
Yeah, but it's just a reissue of an album with a different sleeve, right? Am I right or am I wrong? I don't.
No, I think they did it with the Nick Drake parody, and then or pastiche, whatever you call it, and then that was it. Have they reissued it again with a different sleeve, or?
I thought that was a reissue.
Oh right. It's just so confusing, Joe. It's just so confusing. But no, I did like Boris. I did like Boris. So they're still going, are they?
I
think they are.
Assume they must be. Everyone's still going, right?
I think so. Yeah. I think so. Going on too long. Yeah. Christ.
So this is judging by the fact you had that flexi disc of people talking from the dead. A record that people wouldn't think that you'd like might be tricky, right?
Well, I think I can. You know, in the 80s, we were all scraping around for stuff, and one of the I used to sort of pick up stuff cheap, and this LP I can't recommend to anybody at all because it's really bad. But I used to like listening to this, Tenants of the Lattice Work by Mainframe.
No idea.
Now, some of the synthesizers on this sound like something from EastEnders. I can't, and the singer sounds slightly like Level 42, and there's some really bad sort of prog guitar on it as well. It's these. I mean, look at these guys here. Look at those guys. I think they're both computer programmers. But it was one of those records that my sister picked up for like 50p, and I kind of listened to it. I listened to it loads, and I kind of like it, but it's not like someone comes to my house and go, tell you what, I'm going to put this on. You're going to love this. It's kind of one of those guilty pleasures, I suppose. I do like it. But yeah, some of the synthesizers are really bad, but yeah, I can't imagine anybody would think I would like that. I mean, also, I used to really like Art of Noise. My sister liked Frankie Goes Hollywood, and we used to sort of collect the sort of Zang Tum Tum label. And I kind of got into Anne Pagel, and she was like their kind of answer sad. Was it Sade? That's right. I think that's what right way to say. But basically, she was like trying to do a sort of Edith Piaf kind of vibe, and it kind of the production on it is a bit 80s. I think she was disappointed with the actual production on it. And I remember getting this on tape at Christmas time. So when she's like sort of singing about Paris and being all decadent, all I can remember is like strawberry cream sort of quality streets. You know, that's what it brings up images of 80s Christmas for me. But yeah, I mean, it's something I would, you know, it's not something that I don't think people would expect me to like. But it's something from the 80s which I'd sort of forced myself to like. I mean, I know Amber Girl's still going, but she's sort of like quite a sort of strange performance artist now. So she's doing quite strange stuff now, quite a little bit more experimental. But it's really 80s. But that was at that time, like I said, you were scraping around for stuff, and you kind of, especially with tapes, you would play those tapes over and over again on your Walkman. Just, you know, try and drum it into you that you actually liked it, you know.
where you only had a certain amount of money, so you bought.
Well, this is it, yeah. You know, but yeah, so there's some 80s stuff there.
Just quickly, I think I just learnt something from you.
Right.
What label was that on?
Zang Tum Tum. They did some Art and Noise and Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
So ZTT.
808 State, I think, were on them as well.
I've only ever known it as ZTT. Because
Zang Tum. Was it? It's from some Dadaist expression, I think. It's Paul Morley's label, isn't it? Because on the Art of Noise LPs, he used to write loads of nonsense on there. Just being Paul Morley would just waffle crap for all over the inner sleeve, and so yeah, it's something to do with that.
Oh wow! Because I've got 808 State records, but I had no idea. I just was ZTT. I had no idea what it meant. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
It was worth getting up this morning. So the last subject I have for you is 10-inch, Fave 10-inch.
Okay, yeah. Well, I've got, like I said, I've got loads of 78s. And
the 78 is where the 10-inch came from, right? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, I just thought I've showed the 78, so I'll just show this one because this is one I played loads and loads. This is probably the favourite. This is like the Reflex reissue of BBC radiophonic music. It's like a 4 10-inch sort of release with Delia Derbyshire, David Kane, and John Baker as well. Balkan Clark. It's just basically a lot of the most interesting things from BBC radiophonic music, and it was great. I just was so chuffed when this came out. Just played it loads because I really like sort of electronic music from that period anyway. Yeah. So yeah, no, that's probably one of my favourites. I must admit, it's something I played the most. I mean, there are sort of other 10-inches I really like. I remember at one point we used to sort of DJ a lot. We used to do this these nights called Fag Studio Sessions, where it was H and Olmo and Gareth would get together and do these radio sessions at his practice room. And every week I would DJ and do sort of little sets in between the bands. And like the room was only big enough for about 30, 40 people. But we did a couple of really good nights there. And this band, Massicop, this Swiss band, this Swiss girl band, they played sort of quite angular stuff. And that was great. They're good though. I really like them. You are?
It's the second time that record's come up.
Has it? All right. Yeah. I mean, it's a good little 10-inch this. I mean, they were great those nights because H and Olmo they were really positive, and when they were in Bristol, and we sort of there was another sort of artist that played that same night, Ozel Roto. I think it's like a Spanish guy, and he was like a performance artist. And some of the stuff he was doing, it was mental. He was just doing stuff with his voice and various things. But yeah, they were good. They were good nights. They were. But yeah, I really like that. Is it Massicop? I really like that. That was quite good. Yeah, that was a good night. They both played on the same night as well, so it was a good little night. That was.
You know what? I'm hoping no one watches this and sees me go all soppy, but I love seeing records like that. Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like they would have only made a couple of hundred or whatever. They're on tour. You've seen them in a room full of 30 people, and you've got it, and you hold it, and it's like it just brings you back to that time, and it's just like this. It's an artifact.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
There forever. It's something really.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, things I didn't do that enough, really. I think, and I don't think I went to enough gigs because to a few of your watched a few of your programs, and a lot of the people that are on, they and yourself as well. You've been to loads and loads of gigs. It seems to be. It's a lot healthier state where I'm coming from because I'm kind of a bit more collector, I suppose. But where it's kind of more gigs and records, it seems to be a bit more connected. And I haven't really gone. I've played more gigs than I've seen. I think really, I think. But I don't know, maybe rubbish.
Yeah, I think. Well, for me, gig wise, was big from the age of like 15 through to 30, I guess.
Right, I see. I mean, was it in London? Was it? I suppose all those gigs were they?
It was really easy. Like it was like
yeah.
Hop, skip, and a jump, and we're watching Dogs d'Amour at Astoria or whatever.
Oh god! I mean, we had to go to Birmingham a few times because I wanted to see Acid Mother's Temple, and we had to travel to Birmingham to see them. And like the same with Lightning Bolt, we had to go all the way to Birmingham to see them. It's like at one point, sort of, this was like, you know, at the start of the century, you know, 2000 and the late 90s. It was basically a lot of bands didn't really come to sort of Bristol. They kind of just flew past it. They either went to Newport or Birmingham, but Bristol was avoided for a long time. I mean, its health is better. It's really good now. Lots of bands are coming to Bristol now, but there was a certain point where, yeah, you'd have to go to Birmingham to see these bands, you know.
So Elisa, my wife, she grew up around here. She's a couple of years older than me, so she was like, and she was in bands. She played in a couple of bands around here, and she curses Bristol for killing off live indie music. And,
what, from what period?
We're talking 90s, like, because the music in Bristol was sort of so exciting, but in a different way, not in a
I mean, it was, I mean, at one point it was the old trip hop cliche, wasn't it, for a while? But yeah, there wasn't much really. I mean, there probably, I mean, I remember sort of there were little things now and again. I mean, you get the odd good American band coming in. I remember we were supposed to play with Raw Trucks, but they pulled out at the last minute. And there was stuff coming in, but yeah, it felt that sometimes Bristol was avoided altogether. And I remember sort of Billy saying when he did all his stuff with Robert Plant, he said for all the gigs they did, Bristol, the audience were really sort of like non-reactive at the time. But I don't know, that might be something to do with Robert Plant. I don't know, I can't say anything. But but it was like, I don't know, maybe people avoided Bristol for some reason. I don't know what it was at a certain point. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, well, Lisa has that theory that it was around then, and it just the music that was happening in Bristol that got big just killed guitar music in Bristol for like a decade.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that really. I mean, when I first started playing, there was a few sort of indie bands, a lot of kind of Smiths copyist bands, and then there was a little bit of shoegaze going on. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of was a bit sort of Johnny Come Lately. It's like I missed the Tad Nirvana Beer Keller show. I mean, that was April '91, and I think I got into them like sort of like 6 months later. So I just always miss these things.
Yeah, what you heard Bush and then work back.
You are Bush.
Like I like this Bush. Where have they got their sound from?
Can you remember a Bush song? I can't. I can hear a Stiltskin song in my head, but I can't remember Bush. Jesus.
I don't. Maybe they didn't have a song on an advert like Stiltskin and Babylon.
Yeah, it's just some grunty vocals or something like that.
And Bush,
oh God.
Yeah, and Bush were from Shepherd's Bush in London. That's where they were from.
Plus, you've got a Reef. You've got the Reef legacy, haven't you, near you?
Yeah, they went to school in this town. Yeah.
Right. So you just got to be careful what you say. You might get beaten up.
Well, I delivered the post to the ex-drummer. He recently quit. I think he was.
Oh, right. I see.
Fed up of playing the one song that they did.
Was it put you? I mean, I hate it when people, they don't say the title of the song, but the whole lyric, where it should be hands up. Always put your hands up, innit? Let's put your hands up. That's what it's called. So, yeah. Is it put your hands up, or is it hands up, or is it up or hands? Put your hands up.
Yeah. For some reason, I think it's.
I like it's got a bit of a country twang. I kind of like that. It's kind of like Wurzel grunge, isn't it? Wordy.
He wanders around the town here with flip flops on, irrespective.
Does he? Well, that's it. He's got the confidence to slouch around like that. It's impressive. Didn't they do a picture of this? I can see a picture of this now with a kind of like a orangey blob on it. I've probably seen it in the charity shop a few times, in Street or something like that. God, I tell you what, Street is not very good, is it, for charity shops?
No, it's not.
Did we mention there was a Matt Bianco 12-inch for like £10 in the BHF or something?
Still there? In the British Red Cross, there's been a Fine Young Cannibals 12-inch for £12.
Oh, still there, is it?
2 or 3 years.
I just hope it stays there. I just, it's like a landmark, isn't it?
It's the cornerstone of BA16. Take that off, the place will crumble.
That's it. The whole infrastructure would go. We need Fine Young Cannibals in the Red Cross at all times.
Fantastic. Yeah, there you go. So, do you have anything else? Any other records?
I don't think I've got anything else. No, I mean, no, there's nothing else here. I mean, I mean, you know, some trophy items, I suppose.
Yeah, go on.
This is
What we want.
trophy items that I probably paid too much for. Human Beast, Volume 1. It's kind of a three-piece Scottish band, and sort of like they were basically they were apparently a lot heavier than this recording, but it's kind of quite skeletal, but very interesting sort of psych prog. So yeah, it's the guitarist is sort of, instead of going for the usual bluesy sort of guitar soloing, he sort of goes on a bit of an Eastern tip. But yeah, it's really interesting stuff, and I paid way too much for it.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I you know, my nieces and your kids will probably not be interested at all. So this will probably go into the skip in about 30 years' time.
What year is that from?
I think this is, it's either 69 or 1970. But the band actually disowned this LP. They just said, oh, it's not what we sound, you know, it's not heavy enough. It wasn't what we sounded like. Apparently Decca just rushed them into the studio, record this LP and leave, you know. And though in that period, I think a lot of record companies were experimenting with bands and just seeing what, you know, would stick. So that's why I kind of like this period, because there are a lot of bands who wouldn't really these days sort of get a major record contract. They were just chancing their luck. And there's a lot of stuff from that period which didn't sell a bean because either it was done as a tax loss or it's rubbish. But I like the ones that kind of like, you know, are good, but obviously a bit obscure. But that's a great LP, that is, but it's ridiculously expensive. Anyway,
any more?
Just a wanker who doesn't buy reissues. You can get a reissue of this really cheap. Just get that. Or don't get it all. Don't waste your life like I have.
Mr. Vertigo Swirl.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I mean, the thing is with the Vertigo Swirl label is like it started off really well. You know, you had Sabbath and Colosseum, and you know there were bands like Affinity and Clear Blue Sky. It started off really strong, but I think they were trying to find the next Rod Stewart.
Yeah,
and there was a lot of that's the amazing LP. That one. That's a really good LP.
Yeah. So that's what, if anyone doesn't know, that's what you're talking about. I haven't got many of them myself, and this is probably.
Yeah, I mean that's Dennis Roussos and Vangelis, but it's a brilliant LP. That one. I mean, it's just great. I mean,
yeah,
it's one of the best. I mean, that Kraftwerk LP, the double LP, that's brilliant as well. I mean, that's a swirly.
How come
the UK issue?
Tell me about the sleeve of this and your version then, because your version is the one I've seen the most.
Yeah, so this is obviously, as I'm a wanker, this is the original.
Naturally.
I mean, I had like a second edition of it. I think that's kind of like, it looks like it's kind of mid-70s because it's kind of got the Omen vibe going on, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because the film The Omen came out in 1975, so I reckon maybe it was released after that.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't see it off just really quickly. I can't see a year, but yeah, that's what it looks like on the inside. Yeah,
I mean, when did it come out? I think it was recorded in about 1970, but it didn't come out until 1972. So, but no, that's a really good LP. But like I said, with the Vertigo stuff, it's the last time I'll ever collect a label because there's so much chuff in there. There's so much rubbish. I mean, like there's a Gordon Waller LP used to be in Peter and Gordon, and it's just dreadful. It really is bad. Right. Some really terrible records in there. So if a rainy day comes, then those will have to go, I think. Yeah.
It's interesting when labels have an identity.
Like, it's odd, isn't it? I mean, it's like things like Blue Note and things like that. I mean, sometimes it's a kind of mark of quality, but with Vertigo, it kind of isn't half the time. There's a lot of crap in there.
But like, you know, modern labels, like, you know, up to the first few years of Sub Pop, everyone was just getting mental for Sub Pop stuff. Yeah,
that's the thing. That's the thing with me. I mean, that was another thing that was unaffordable because I had a few mates who kind of had the Sub Pop stuff, and I just think, where are you getting it? Well, I can't. It's not in the shops, you know. It's just where you getting this stuff. Obviously, it was all mail order, wasn't it, from America? Most of it was it, I suppose. I don't know.
Singles Club, yeah.
Yeah, single. Yeah, but yeah, it just seemed sort of unobtainable. A lot of that stuff at the time.
I love this sticker, by the way. This sticker was on obviously
like a nice price.
Yeah, like double value. 2 LPs for the price of 1.
Oh yeah, look at that.
It's like a double album.
Got a nice yellow dot as well. It's lovely, that.
2 LPs for the price of 1.
Oh wait, I forgot to show my record bags, didn't I?
Oh yeah, record bags. So before we started recording,
as sad it gets.
Yeah.
You ever been goosed at Gooses? I think
Where's
that's one of you guys jokes.
Croydon, Norwich, Maidstone, Bath was your local one, I guess. Stafford.
Look at that. I'm so sad I've got record bags. I mean, yeah, like I said, if you're a car boot, you kind of see those bags. You've got to pick them up and put your record in there. I mean, this is the Woolworths one as well, which is great.
I love an old Woolworths one. That's awesome.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Anyway. Look at my bags. Christ. Dear, oh dear.
Let's leave it there. You can't.
Let's leave it there. Let's leave it at the bags. Yeah.
That's a headline act, isn't it?
That's it. Look at those bags. Look at my bags.
So.
All right. Well, I hope I haven't offended anybody. So, you know.
Oh, it was awesome. Cheers for this. It's ridiculous in places, and I will edit out the big chunk in the middle. So if anyone wonders what the hell's going on. That was
that's probably the most interesting bit when I wasn't talking. Yeah.
So I'm going to press stop. We're going to wave goodbye, and then we can say goodbye properly once I've pressed stop.
Okay.
So wave goodbye.